right? Jeff, woken up at like 11:50, like nagging headache. He's probably got one of the best vitamin IV drips in the world. Goes on his jet ski that day, probably does a Zoom call with his chess coach, like whatever. Who's worked harder that day? If you judge it in the old-fashioned interpretation that I think a lot of us have that don't understand leverage because we don't get engineering and things like that, you go, well, he's worked 24 hours that day, Jeff's done a few Slack messages. But I was like trying to go, well, what if you actually ran the napkin math? So right now, if you looked at it as purely as like outputs, so this guy's got 24 outputs of hours of manual work that he's been doing, whereas Jeff's been sat on his arse